As soon as Brandon got into the boat that day, it was a death march. He didn't have a chance from the get-go.
Brandon Ellingson, a young man from Clive, Iowa, killed during an arrest on a boat at the Lake of the Ozarks. Tonight, Local 5 talks with one of the men involved with the death investigation who says the Missouri Water Patrol killed the West Des Moines Valley grad. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jack Miller.
And I'm Stephanie Engelson. Brandon Ellingson was a vibrant 20-year-old who died after a series of mistakes while boating on the Lake of the Ozarks.
He was arrested for public intoxication in the summer of 2014, and within a few hours, Brandon was dead. He drowned while handcuffed and in the care of a Missouri Water Patrolman. Tonight, Local 5 sheds light on Brandon's death with the help of a whistleblower who says cover-ups, lies, and corruption are hiding who is really to blame for Brandon's death. Local 5's Nikki Davidson is here with tonight's big story.
Yeah, I drove down to the Lake of the Ozarks to talk to Randy Henry. He is now a whistleblower, but before now, he spent 30 years working for the Missouri State Patrol. He says the organization had his heart for all of those years, but that changed the summer of 2014 when Brandon Ellingson drowned. What he says happened next inside his own organization is something he never imagined was possible. Just a few miles from the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. This is how Randy Henry is spending the first few days of his retirement with his also retired partner, a former canine officer.
Come here.
But his dog is just about the only thing that he's kept from his 30 years with the State Patrol. Most everything else he's gotten rid of.
I had my retirement letter typed up, and I couldn't wait to hit send. It was one of the happiest days of my life.
He says he doesn't even like being referred to as Sergeant anymore. It's a reminder of what he says is a mistake that will stay with him forever.
It is something that you'll never forget. Yes, I wasn't the one driving the boat that day, but however, I was part of this organization, so we all have to take responsibility for it.
The mistake, he says, was when Missouri Highway Patrol merged its water and road operations, and he was in charge of signing off on the training of a trooper named Anthony Piercy.
They encouraged him to be the first 20-20-20 officer in the history of the Highway Patrol. That's 20 DWIs on the road, 20 BWIs on the water, and 20 drug arrests. So he was actively encouraged to go out there and be the top dog, and I think that had a little bit to do with this. Rush, so we can get to the next one.
He says Piercy wasn't experienced enough on the water to be making arrests. So when he took 20-year-old Brandon Ellingson into custody for boating while intoxicated, it was a perfect storm. Piercy handcuffed Ellingson, and later investigations show that he placed the wrong type of life jacket on him.
He said he had a brain fart. He just picked the first one that he saw. He said he was in a rush to get out of there.
And took off on speeds topping 40 miles per hour. When Ellingson fell out of the water, the life jacket fell off. Henry says that's when Piercy continued to fail horribly to do the right thing.
I mean, it's a very, very simple rescue. If he would just maintain his wits, realize the situation is serious, but jump into the water and grab him and tell the people, hey, this guy's handcuffed, I need help. You don't let that kid sit out there for an extended period of time fighting for his life handcuffed while you're in the boat. Didn't even call for radio backup.
Piercy did eventually jump in to recover Ellingson, but said he wasn't able to keep a hold of him and says he struggled to stay afloat and worried for his own safety. It's a story Randy Henry says changed over time.
I said, Tony, I was going to support you through all this, but I said, you're lying to me. And I said, we're done. I'm not going to support you at all. You killed this kid. Now you're lying about it. You're not very remorseful if you're lying about it.
What did he say to that?
Nothing. I walked out of the office and I haven't spoken to Tony since.
Lies and mistakes that Randy Henry says was paid for with Brandon Ellingson's life.
Is there anything that you think Brandon could have done differently and he would still be alive?
Brandon Ellingson was cooperative. Even Tony Piercy said he was cooperative. In the photo that I've seen, that everybody's seen, he's sitting there with his arms folded in his lap. Missouri Highway Patrol killed Brandon Ellingson with Tony Piercy being directly responsible. We all work for the Missouri Highway Patrol. Do I share some culpability? Absolutely. I worked for him. I was involved indirectly, but at the end of the day, Tony Piercy is the one who made the decisions that led up to this fateful incident.
When it came time for the state coroner to investigate if Piercy should face criminal charges, Henry says Highway Patrol purposely withheld evidence and witnesses to change the outcome of the investigation.
the system is broke, and nobody's been accountable for that.
Today, Piercy is still on the job, a fact that Henry struggles with.
I believe that the elements were there to meet involuntary manslaughter.
Do you think he should be in jail right now?
I'm saying he needs to be in jail, and he needs to be charged with the felony and let the court system decide what appropriate punishment would be if he's found guilty.
Henry himself was demoted and transferred to another area after he claims officials encouraged him to lie about the strength of their training program on the record. He says now he's done with the organization and he isn't looking back, but he believes changes need to be made or this could happen again and again.
Until the Highway Patrol gets out of the practice of investigating themselves, how can you trust them? I think the Brandon Ellingson case is clear proof of agencies shouldn't be investigating themselves.
Now, we tried contacting officials with the Missouri State Patrol, but they refused to respond to our request for comment. A new special prosecutor has been asked to investigate the case for wrongdoing, but no results have come from that. Percy is still on the job and a free man facing no charges in Brandon's death. The Ellingson family has filed a civil case. Randy Henry says if asked, he would testify and be a witness on behalf of Brandon Ellingson's family. We'll continue to follow what happens in both the lawsuit and the new investigation. Live in the studio, Nikki Davidson at Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
Nikki, thanks for that reporting. Brandon's dad, Craig Ellingson, says he and his family haven't stopped pushing for justice. They want criminal charges filed against Trooper Anthony Piercy for his son's death. He believes whistleblower Randy Henry and says the state patrol worked to silence him for a long time. He says Henry's testimony would make a big difference.
When we go to trial and he gets to get up on the stands and the boys get to get on the stands and tell what they saw Piercy do to my son, they'll get to see the whole truth of what he actually did do.
And to follow along on this story and see all of our past coverage, you can visit our website. That's weareiowa.com.